inside my sleep. Sometimes if they are fake, they still dig deep. And when I follow them to the back of my mind, I find that I've gone too far this time. Too far this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We're live. I'm making sure I'm framed good. When you're a one-man band, Tim, it's a fucking nightmare sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I know all about what you're talking about.
Christmas. It's tough. I'm like trying to make sure everything. So if you're listening and the audio sounds good, let us know. If you're live, if you're listening later, obviously, hopefully we have our shit figured out by the time it hits your ears on audio-only exclusive platforms. So before we get super into this, let's talk sponsors, Tim.
Let's do it. I like how we're both on our phones like proper kids our age.
Yep.
We're kids, right?
Abaddon Tattoo Studio, a unique professional experience nestled in the small town of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. They provide high-quality tattoos and piercings in a relaxed, professional, sterile environment. Check their links below in the link tree, or you can see their links on the on our page. Like if you go to our link tree, they're there as well. They're the top one because they're top in our hearts. So, Patreon. So Patreon, we have $1 or $5 tier. It goes pretty much right now just general support. Because the nobody like people who I kind of made a poll in there like, do you guys even care about this bonus content?
Yeah, I was a part of that poll.
And then you guys were like, no, we're just here to support. Like we don't have time to watch all this.
It's the same thing with my supporters for my podcast.
Yeah, they're just there to support.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which is the best thing.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I have all these really good episodes. So I just dropped them because I killed 2 shows. I murdered them, took them out in the back, put a bullet in their head.
You got to do that with Lassie sometimes.
Yeah. It was upsetting. It was tough, but it had to be done because I'm only one dude and it's hard to do all this and schedule time and get 5 people here and come up with topics and be fresh and be good.
We'll talk about this later. It's a little bit of a spoiler for what the episode's about, but I just started a second podcast and it's like, I was hand to God. I was like, I think I'm going to take this month off, and then kind of whatever happened. And then I'm like, nah, because I want to do things that like I enjoy.
Oh, that's good.
It is very good.
Nimble Giant by Trogs.
Yeah. I love Trogs, man.
I love Trogs as well.
Yeah, I haven't been there obviously a couple of years, but I was going there consistently for a while.
Yeah. So we did $1 and $5. So thank you for Timmy B. Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop. Have you gone there yet? Tree of Life?
Yeah,
it's like a beautiful place.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff that's hanging in my house now. Some incense.
We have to schedule to go back very soon for interviews. So maybe if you want to tag along, you want to come with me? We'll tag team interviews.
I would love to get. This is what I've realized is that I want to have conversations with people who are more excited about things than I'm excited about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the kind of people I'm looking for. Is like, I'm excited about my things, but I can't be excited for your things as well.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I want to learn about your excitement. Right. That's pretty much interviews.
Because excitement is like, it's such a. If you don't have the right mindset, excitement can turn into this thing where it's like, oh, that's stupid that you enjoy that thing or whatever. Like even nerdy stuff. It's like, oh, I'm
a pro wrestling fan. I get it all the time.
Right. But like, it's like, man, no, if you just look at the phenomenon of excitement, that's a great thing for like an individual to feel, you know?
Yes.
And it's like when you're feeling excitement over like, whether it's music, that was like the biggest thing for me that
audio is working. Sorry, you're good. I should probably, why is it not muted? All right, we're good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was, I may have said this on the podcast before, but Anthony and I were talking about how this is my 7th time.
It's your solo 5th time on Interviews with Everyday People. You have an appearance with your mother, so that would make 6. And then you were on Not Cool in high school, which makes 7. You're a 7-time champ.
That's too many.
It's not enough. It's really not.
I don't have enough things to say as someone who has 3 his own podcast.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we get too far, because once we start rolling, I don't know when this train's gonna end. Brad Zalonis, Hireth, in other words, which is you. I appreciate your support. Jay, the mysterious Jay.
Jay Her. What a mystery.
Oh, you just ruined it.
Oh,
that was the whole shtick.
Did I really?
Yeah, because when you put your name in, it only just says Jay. We know who Jay is, but we do this whole bit that we don't know who the Jay is.
Oh my goodness.
Jay is just lurking.
Wow, I come into the network and then I ruin an inside joke right off the bat.
Right. And then Austin Blackwell. But thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to join, like I said, it's just general support. It's $5 a month or $1 a month. It's like buying us a beer, essentially. You want to buy us a beer, let us know. But if like 400 people buy us a beer,
that's a problem.
That beer can turn into like better equipment, which I am trying to do now. So if you have it in you, I know there's a pandemic, I know there's times are tough, but if you can buy a sticker, if you can buy a t-shirt, a hoodie, I normally don't push to go buy shit.
Right.
But the wrestling side of things, we're also I behind the scenes kind of spoiler, like I help with a production team.
He doesn't say, do you bring your own stuff?
And I bring my own stuff.
Okay.
And we're at a point now where I don't get paid, or I don't get like much recognition because I don't look for it. Like the whole idea for me to go to those wrestling shows is kind of like the support. Like if someone's not there with good
and just
quality,
doing it because you love it, right?
Yes, and I love the business. And if someone's there with good quality stuff, who's willing to sacrifice their equipment to record their match, then they can turn around and show that match, and it can get them on another platform, and they can make money, and they can get more bookings, and they can do a lot better for themselves. So I'm sacrificing possible thousands of dollars of equipment to help people live their dream, and I'm more than happy to do that. But
the universe will reward you for
I'm
that.
hoping.
And I mean, it continually has. Your stuff is just, you have 2 lights now, buddy. You used to only have 1. You know how many lights I have in my room when I do my podcast?
A lamp.
Yeah,
I seen it.
Yeah. That's all I have.
So I want to get another camera system and some gimbals and stuff, because running a wrestling show, for the most part, I have everything. I just probably do 1 more camera. So I can walk in and be like, hey, I have 3 cameras, set up a hard cam. Let's do the 2 roving cams, put all that footage together. We have a show.
That's awesome.
And then I bring my mixing board for the show. We record commentary, and I literally just help a wrestling company put a show out.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So we are, so it's pretty much me trying to get equipment.
You're the man
that helps other people. So
you're just out here fucking doing it, and everyone else is like just kind of doing whatever they're doing, and that's fine. But you're doing great, man.
I have a secret on the side too. Like I have, I'm secretly helping Noah put shows together for a venue in Frackville.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've been to Frackville a couple times.
Yeah, the American Ambents,
at least 5
Legion Ambents. I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
if you are watching, party fell.
Ooh, that would have been bad. If you are watching, the live chat is open. Talk to us, say hi. But yeah, so you've been here a few times, Tim, and I guess our major announcement is you're joining the network. Wah, wah. I don't have a reggae horn.
That was a bad impression.
Like the welcome back, boys. I mean, it's on that board. I just don't know how to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of those things.
One of those buttons, but they're not even turned on, I don't think.
I was going to say, I'll just push one and see what sound we get.
We can give it a shot.
Okay. Nothing. It was really anti. That's the sound it made.
So you're bringing Hireth and Other Words podcast to the network.
I am.
How long has that podcast been going now?
It's almost a year. So it was July 31st was the first episode, and so it'll be almost a year next month. We're on season 2. Because I ended it off at the end of the year. It's just like, I'm going to just cap this off as because a lot of TV shows, they do short first seasons to just be like, do you like this or not? People seem to enjoy it. So, but more so, I actually enjoy doing, and this isn't a plug or anything, but I enjoy doing my bonus podcast more than I do my normal podcast.
Yeah, that's how the Patreon was for the other episodes. I was like, because we kind of let our hair down a little more.
That's exactly what it is. And I'm like, I want to bring that energy
to the main show.
To the main show, because I feel like I'm like too like teachy or preachy sometimes, and like because I love, if I was given the circumstances, I would love to be either of those things. But I don't necessarily know that that's what I want the podcast to be. That. And for those of you who don't know, the podcast, like Anthony said, is called the Hireth and Other Words podcast, or just Hireth and Other Words. I would say it's very, and this is not like saying like you're trying to do what I do, right? Not at all, because we're not original. Because fucking how many interview podcasts are out there? So I don't want to come across like I'm being like I did it first, because that's not the case. But it's interviews with everyday people with more of a spirituality background to it. Yeah, I mean I think the whole heart behind it is really diving into what is spirituality, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I think that we in our culture miss something because we don't have a spiritual narrative or spiritual practice, whatever that would be.
Yeah,
I think just the absence of it is very evident in rampant capitalism, rampant ism, like just the being in love with your tribe, and that's an episode that I have in the works is I want to do an episode called Tribalism Will Ruin Us All, or something like that. Or tribalism will be the end of all things.
That's exactly what we're trying to do with the network. We're trying to make a tribe. We're trying to find like-minded people who are positive and want to make good for the world.
See, I think it's important to be a part of a tribe, but I think it's it's important to understand that there are other tribes, and it's okay to live concurrently with them and not be at war with them. And I think that we as a species haven't gotten out of that mindset yet.
I actually just made a top secret group of
Asian man
of wrestler podcasts, and I've been finding wrestling podcasts all over the Northeast and all over the country that just all make wrestling content. And I'm like, hey, this is our little thing. Like, I'm trying to see how many people are still committed to it or how many people buy into it. I think some people are just kind of like, oh, I'll just post my shit here and it'll get big. But that's not how it works. You kind of like, if you go and share someone else's content and they share your content, and you kind of like, I have an audience of 200 and you have an audience of 200, and we kind of like put our audience onto each other. Right now we can be at 400. So if we have 100 podcasts all working together, working their own things, finding this audience, and then bringing them all to one place, we all grow, because we're all independent people. We're not a Joe Rogan, or we're not a like famous comedian or famous X name person here starting a podcast who's going to start off and have 100 million, 1,000 or 10,000 viewers right off the bat, because we're not celebrities. You know what I mean? And so if we can come together and work together, we can make that.
And one thing that I've noticed is there's this podcast that I listen to called The Weekly Planet, and it's a comic book movie podcast with two Australian guys, and they just have this really great online community. And what I've really enjoyed about being a part of that community is this is like you can have, like I was talking about earlier, is all these different opinions about things, but it's a place where it's like, it's okay to have these, and no one will come against you.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the IwEP network page is supposed to be. People can kind of come and be like, hey, you know, I like what you guys do, talk, make conversation, meet each other, talk the whole nine, but also like, hey, also this weekend in our local town, we're doing something for a benefit or a charity. Let's all go there. Let's go support that.
Right. I remember one time I was out in, I was living in Oregon. I was in Portland seeing this speaker named Rob Bell. And at the end of the evening, he's like, you know, every one of you is probably thinking, I wish I had people around me more who were more like-minded. And he's like, here are your people. It's up to you now to like communicate.
Fellowship.
Right. And like, I mean, you're literally using the Christian terminology, you know? So
I'm with you. Even the devil knows the Bible.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's in it, and he's an egomaniac. So of course, I listen to my podcast.
It's me.
So I'm like,
it's me.
Yeah,
a little egotistical.
That's fine.
I wouldn't have bought $10,000 of equipment if I had a little bit of an ego problem.
It's like, man, I need to hear my own voice better. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more solo episodes lately, just because I just been feeling like I need to. I have and I'm not trying to say anything with this other than what I'm trying to say. I have a wide audience of people who vary in age and like spiritual experiences. You know, you yourself, you wouldn't necessarily that you believe in, God per se, or whatever that is, higher power. That's usually what you use. But then there's other people that listen that are just like, no, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus and all those things. And that's fine too. My goal, or what I'm trying to be, is I want, this is important, because this is really what I've been thinking about for the podcast. Is when I started the podcast, it was started off of this blog that I used to have called Hireth in Other Words. And it was during this time in my life where I was really looking at my faith and just being like, well, what if this is true and what if this is not? Regardless of how I feel about it, I'm just going to completely deconstruct it and just kind of build back whatever remains. And I feel like I've been in that process of rebuilding for a long time. I know what I don't want, and I kind of am looking into Christianity and being like, there's still something here. And it's not, and I don't even want to say Christianity when I'm going back to kind of what I was trying to say is I use this blog to, again, process this thing. And that's how I want to feel about the podcast. I don't want people to come to be like, please give me answers. I'm like, no, I want to be in this world with you, kind of being like,
get the ball started.
Right. And just being like, one of the most influential books for me in this form of thinking was called The Wise Men and Their Tales. And I can't remember who it's by, but it's a narrative on a lot of how do you say that? It's a character study of tales in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And it literally goes from every perspective, and then it goes into the questions of whether those perspectives are right or wrong. And I think that that's beautiful, because it just lays out the entire argument and being like, you choose, you know? And I think really that the human species doesn't move forward without the individuals making those types of deep level, you know, because those are moral, they're ethical questions of like, well, what is, you know, who is my neighbor? That is a good moral question because, you know, how far do those borders extend?
Mhm.
At one point in time, it was good to not have, you know, that's what I'm talking about.
Your neighbor's another Fellow Wide Network member.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is. That was a good one. Brian, we're related now, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're watching. It's okay if you're not.
I almost said you're Eskimo brothers, but you're definitely not Eskimo.
No, I mean, maybe, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I doubt it.
Brian's a handsome man.
He is a handsome man. But you guys came from two different places, and yeah.
And I'm also really Christian for most of my life, so I didn't get around as much as a man who looks like me looks like he would.
Yeah, I don't think Brian got around much.
Is that the right way to say it?
I think
Anyways,
so.
let's not talk about that. But yeah,
if you're my Eskimo brother, comment below.
Or if you're mine, I guess let's go. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that says more about me or what. I don't know. Oh, so it is
officially 420.
It's officially 420.
Well, as we're talking 420, let's segue into your. We'll come back to Hirath, but let's talk about your other podcast.
So, let's smoke. Cheers, buddy.
You're double vented. You're an animal. I cough a lot. I'm still new.
No, it's fine. I do my nicotine vape and my THC vape at the same time. And I call it an e-spliff because a spliff is see, that's good for you. When the weed smoke comes out of you and you're laughing, it's when you take like a bong rip and you're nervous is that you know it's going to be a bad time.
I'm still new to the game.
Oh, buddy. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's talk about my new podcast before this gets too off the rail.
A lot higher when I have that hit.
Yeah, no, you will.
You're like,
you got to cough.
I'm dying, and then you're like, here I am.
Have you ever heard of the expression "you got to cough to get off"?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
So, I will say this: I just want to be like, oh, they're just fucking idiots who smoke weed.
Mm-mm.
For me personally, you're looking at someone. I mean, I still drink, but I'm open to admit. At one point in time, I had a little bit of a problem where I drank a little too much. I didn't quit altogether, you know, because I'd still enjoy the taste, and I've learned to now drink. I don't really get drunk anymore, but I kind of hit that nice buzz where my body didn't feel pain, and then I move on. And then I was adding pain pills with the beer because it worked better, and my pain would go away a lot better. But the next couple days, I would feel like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like I was in an unhealthy spot mixing pills and beer together.
Yeah.
I went and got my medical marijuana license. I drink a lot less, and I don't take pain pills anymore. And my body pain is almost at like a 0. What I would feel it would be like a 0, because I've been living at like a 7 or 8 like every single day of my life, and now I can go to work and I'm like, oh, I don't feel pain anymore. And it's not like I have to do it before work either. Like I do it, and then it puts me in a good place in my body, and I you know what I mean. So that's the reason I've taken this journey of the marijuana, the old devil's lettuce.
Yeah, for me, man, and
anxiety and depression have been a lot better too.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be anxiety inducing, but it can also be, and it's really what you bring to the table is with marijuana. It's like, because it's just sitting there, you know, it's just, and sure, there's something to be said about bad strains, good strains, the effect that they'll have on you psychosomatically.
I'm a sativa guy.
I'm an indica guy. See, because I'm in my head too much to begin with, so I'm just like, I'm gonna just go into my body.
Sativa day, indica night. That's my
indica all day, baby.
Doesn't that make like I take indica and I go to bed?
No, I'm pretty like I'm my mother's child, son. So like her blood runs through my veins, and that's high voltage. Yeah. So like, and I want to be relaxed. I admire Jay, the mysterious Jay, because
he's just the indica man. Like I feel like his personality is indica. Yeah.
And one of the first times I hung out with Jay, I think it was the first or second time, I was real stoned and I yelled at him across this table. We were at this restaurant. I'm like, I smoke weed because I want to be like you. I want to not be what I'm currently doing, making a scene, like being high energy. I just want to be sitting there quiet, because I think the highest respect you can pay to somebody is listening to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a good listener, ironically. I know. And this is like, this is our karmic practice, is like, our body is like, you should listen to other people for your hobby. And we're both like, what if I talked more?
My ADD is like, yeah, but I smoke both anytime. There you go. Don Manny Fresh saying he also enjoys mouse is not working. He also enjoys the old devil lettuce.
Yeah. And I think if whatever works for you, works for you. And I think, again, that goes back to, tribalism and religion.
Well, let's get back to your other podcast.
My other podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been sitting on this thing called Stoned and Nerdy for a long time. Back in 2017, when I first started getting really in, well, actually, that's not true. I got back into comics like in 2014. When I was living overseas, I just pirated them all the time because I'm just like, I'm not on the soil. What are they going to do to me? Yeah, it's fine. All right, internet. But yeah, I don't know. So I would just go on there and I would just get high and like just kind of ramble. It's on Twitter at Stoned and Nerdy. And I would just get high and like just ramble about like comics or movies that I was watching or whatever. And recently I kind of resurrected that account because I've been going to my local comic book store and trying to support them and just buying fun indie comics.
I want to start getting complicated. I can't do single issues.
Yeah, trade paperbacks are the way to go because they're cheaper. Like, here's my rule of thumb: read issue 1. If you enjoy it, then keep supporting it until you don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think even with the trade, if you buy a trade for like $15.
Well,
you're getting 100. You're getting like 50 comics or 15 comics or 20 comics, and you're like, oh, one sucked, but I at least have a few more to see how much I enjoy this.
But there is something to be said about the enjoyment of going every week and or every month and being like, I just want to know what's happening. In
New 52 Batman got me like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I think that you can enjoy some in some ways because on the weekends I'm a trade paperback guy, but during the week I'm a once and done kind of guy.
I think when I go day shift, I'll be more into this too.
Yeah.
I'm literally trying to cram my entire life into 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
It's literally non-fucking stop Friday, Saturday, Sunday for me.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can go back to my other podcast. I'm going to be doing an episode on self-care this week that's going to be coming out on Sunday. So if you want to check out the first official episode on the IwEP network.
Yes.
I'm going to screw up 1,000 times. I just want to say it here and now. I'm going to say IWNEP.
I say IWTV because there's an independent wrestling television network that I'm a huge fan of. And then I'm IwEP. And I didn't even know they existed when I made this.
What are they called?
IWTV.
Okay, right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So know that my heart is in the right place if I don't correct myself.
I think it's hilarious if we're IWNEP.
Yeah.
Interviews with Northeastern Pennsylvania people. IWEPP. I think we just made a new network name.
And Joe Schneider comes after you. Is he a part of that?
Wait, you're finally coming today?
Today shift.
Oh, no. I want to go day shift. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Or you can. So, and another thing is I work in a medical marijuana grow house. I'm a maintenance man there. And so like one of the last times that I was on the podcast was promoting an album that I put out called Town Drugs. And all the proceeds from that went to a organization that is trying to get people of color out of jail for being incarcerated for marijuana. Dispensaries. It's $1 billion industry.
Could you imagine being in jail for like 15 years and you come out and you're like, it's legal? And you're like, fuck, man.
It's
my whole life.
it's incredibly unjust. And I think that we as Americans shouldn't stand for something like that. And that we should be, because everyone I know smokes weed. Pretty much. Like, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 people I know, at least casually, are like, yeah, from time to time or something, or at least have tried it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's good things and there's bad things about marijuana.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that the conversation needs to start becoming more real about that, and not
if this is legal, this could be legal.
Yes, and because this, and I mean, Mike Tyson has a quote like that. It's like if you get somebody in a room, well, he's talking about psilocybin, but he's like, if you get a bunch of people in the room and you get them high, they're gonna eventually find somewhere. If you get 10 people in the room that hate each other and you get them high, they're probably gonna find some common ground eventually. But if you throw alcohol in the mix,
they're fighting.
It's not just that they're disagreeing, it's that their physical violence breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. God, if Truth Behind Illusion was still a thing, I would love to come on and talk about my spiritual perspectives on alcohol.
Well, here's the thing.
Let's talk. Well,
Truth Behind Illusion.
Hold on, I don't think I ever talked about my other podcast.
Yeah, Truth Behind Illusion and Not Cool in High School as show are gone. Mm-hmm. But I also want to rebrand Interviews with Everyday People. I want Interviews with Everyday People become this this show or anything's like if somebody wants to come and tell a story of something they went through that was either traumatic or happy or any of those insert feeling here, they're more than welcome to come do that. If you are a local musician or band or artist or business, you are more than welcome to come do that. If you just like, hey, I don't want to tell you my story and I'm not a fucking business.
Did that go away?
Are we back? Are we live? Can you guys hear us? If you're still there,
What just happened?
hold on. Let's just see if that. Yeah, let's double check. If anyone's still watching, say hi. Say, my computer just completely shut off.
Doesn't look like we're live on that thing.
It might
wait.
There might be a delay. Like it might went a black screen, and then we might just pop back in. You can see you guys. We're back.
Wow.
Our audio still recording. I will do a little editing there. There's a little bit of editing. 3 moments later. Yeah. So I was saying is not cool in high school interviews and illusion.
I'm so proud of you for remembering
right where we left off. I'm a fucking pro.
You are.
I've been doing this a couple of years now.
Good job.
That's why I run a network. I want to get a network logo that says the IwEP network, but like you can see like half the network banner is falling, and then underneath it says cult. I think it'd just be funny.
Everything. Well, I could see. I hate because I was almost a part of a cult. I mean, like religious fundamentalism is as close as a cult that you can get. You know,
I
like
think you were in one.
Yeah, I mean, especially with. I mean, I don't want to throw anything or anybody under the bus.
Absolutely.
But like, the word cult is such a. It's almost like the word religion because everyone has their own definition for it.
Yeah,
and they've forgotten what. And
they're kissing cousins.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kissing cousins.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get back to my stoned and nerd thing?
Real quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, you never did. I interrupted you.
Interviews. This is what we do. We're both aggressive talkers with ADD, and now we're adding beer and alcohol. We're adding alcohol and weed. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun episode. Yeah. So I want to open the doors for if you want to come on here and talk video games with me. We come talk video games. Like interviews is going to be a wide open thing. You want to come on and talk Truth Behind Illusion stuff? Like, hey, I have this crazy ghost story, or I believe in such and such cryptid. Dude, let's come talk. And interviews might be those days where I have people from Truth Behind Illusion come on and we do a topic. You know what I mean? Like, it just for me, just kind of I already kind of said this in other thing, but I don't know if I said it in interviews. Is because this is the first interviews where I can kind of this is not really structured. We're just kind of bullshitting.
Yeah.
Which that's why I love having.
There's a bunch of drinks on the table.
Yeah, we're gonna
because this is for everyone who's watching. The stuff that's gonna get real good is after we're like, okay, this is what I finished and want to say. This is the whole reason I'm here. But now Anthony and I can talk.
Yeah, we're not even. This isn't even the warm up yet.
This is warm up.
Yeah, this is the warm up. Yeah. So the door is open for interviews to do a lot of things, but it is very very hard to run. There, you have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Insert this here, insert that there, and you're trying to now turn around and run all those social medias, run all those different things, and also I
have no idea how you do it.
It's just too much. And I was doing that with 5 to 6 shows. So it wasn't a thing where it was like one was taking off more than the other, because listener wise, Truth Behind Illusion and Aqua were my highest listened to shows. But outside of that world, I'm still a nerd, but I really, really love professional wrestling. And ever since I was a kid, like if I couldn't be in the ring, just to be part of that world.
Oh yeah. I mean, it has to be. I was thinking that's why I shot Peek Behind the Curtain. I shot you a message the other day and I was apologizing because I'm like, I know how big of a moment that was for you. And I'm sorry I didn't celebrate as much with you you were going through. The
fact that you probably looked at the post and said, and even knowing that it means you celebrate it with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, and I have a lot of opportunities to interview people who I truly, truly feel in 6 months will probably be too busy for someone. And I'm not saying that they'll forget about me or anything, but I just feel like their world will change soon because they are good at what they do in professional wrestling.
Right.
And it's not like, oh, I want to have them first. I want to remember these moments before that happens.
Right.
So like,
and to champion them.
Yeah.
And to get them and further that along.
So like tornado tag interviews are kind of very similar to interviews of everyday people, because sure, everyone asks the same, hey, where did you go to school? What was your favorite match? Who's your favorite wrestler? But I feel like with interviews, I can dive deeper and I can pull something out of an interview with a wrestler that you normally couldn't.
Well, there's a different energy to maybe what you and I do when we come together versus like, actually, I think we do a good job of combining these two. So I won't use me as an example.
Yeah.
It's good to like dive, have a deep heart to heart with the person. But it's also a lot of fun to just have fun with the person and just joke. And I feel like that's why you and I enjoy each other's company, because we're doing this. I'm feeling it, Anthony. And like then when we're still like, well, let's talk about things
right now.
Dude, I love that album. Blink-182's self-titled album.
Mark just came out.
I know. I just wasn't trying to be sad, but the album.
I'll cry if he dies.
Everyone will cry.
That's like the first band I was like, Dad, this is my band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was for a lot of kids our age. Now I got into them a little later. See, here's the thing.
Enema of the State. Most people got Enema of the State.
Yeah, I feel like that would definitely, but I got into, and especially because I was into a lot more like emo stuff.
I love how we just fucking turned right.
I want to get back to Stone and Nerdy.
Go back to that.
But I just want to say Blink-182, they were like, that album, Blink, like self-titled, it's a perfect album.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I think they should have just stopped there. I think they should have just, and I'm a big believer in like just letting things end.
Yeah.
And it would have been a beautiful cap. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, I'm not a Blink-182 professional. Not am I professional really in anything.
We're going to do an entire Blink-182 podcast. We're going to get a panel of Blink-182 fans.
Tyler Troutman would be number one on that.
Noah, me, Sajin. Sajin's a Blink-182 fan. We're going to have
the band's older than him. See, there was no music.
That's the beautiful thing about Blink-182.
I know, but here's the thing, man.
Multiple generations.
We need to get back to this, but I don't
Apollo
think
88. They're
no one between, hold on. No one between the age of 28 and 25 have their own music. Those people only listen to, anyone younger than that only listens to either things relative or to things that you and I listened to when we were kids. They didn't have music for that 5 years period for whatever it was. For those people who were those going back in time, those 5 years when they were younger, they should have had like the music in their teen years that they just didn't have it. They only had like old Hawthorne Heights, Silverstein, all this stuff. And it's so weird to see kids that are like 18 and 17, like young, and being like, I love fucking My Chemical Romance or like whatever. It's just like,
my little cousin went to a Fall Out Boy concert. She's like, I love Fall Out Boy. Like, they're like my new favorite band.
Fall Out Boy is kind of like the AC/DC of our generation, I think.
And it's like, I've been listening to Fall Out Boy since I'm younger than you.
Yeah, they were on my first the album that like turned me punk had Blink 182 on it and Fall Out Boy.
Yeah,
because that's what a young teenager listens to and thinks that this is punk rock.
It's funny because I used to assimilate everything from like growing up to like my dad's music. So like I was listening to stuff and I was like, oh, that's just like I knew different genres. And then I was like, I found Blink, and obviously I'm a kid and they're running around naked and it's funny and they're parodying everything that I'm being told as a young adolescent I shouldn't like in boy bands. So I was like, this is my band. And then I went to see them live and it's like, here's Blink-182 and Green Day, and I was like, oh my god, Green Day, I know every one of these songs they're playing. And then I was like, I'm a Green Day fan, and then that kind of like blew my mind open, like, let's go explore this music thing. Yeah,
that's great.
But this is still pop culture and nerdy,
right?
Yeah,
so
we got real nerdy about Blink-182.
We sure did. So Stone and Nerdy, I did this Twitter account, and then I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but like I just didn't know this. You might have heard this if we like the audio or whatever picked this up, but like I grew up playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I would play it for hours and hours and hours, and like I just thought like I kind of just played like everyone else, and then I started like showing my friends and whatever, and like they're like, you're decent at that. I'm trying not to like sound like an egomaniac, but I'm like top 10 in the world on this one thing, and I'm like, I didn't know I could do this.
Well, here's an interesting thing with you. So you're describing a generation of no internet. So we played video games and thought we were the shit until we did the couch co-op with your buddy, and then you got your feelings hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we live in a world now where you can get on the internet and at any given time you're playing against someone who's the top in the world. And then if a game has a leaderboard where it's still a solo game where no one can interfere and you just kind of play, but they take your scores and put them in a database, and you're like, wait a second. Yeah. I didn't realize about this stuff. So you kind of just transformed almost 10 years of the gaming, because you're a retro gamer. You like most of the games you play are games that you don't even connect on online. Yeah. You've always kind of been like,
Mario's always been my go-to. Yeah. Like, and I speed run Mario all the time. Like that's like, I used to just get stoned to the gills, put on a podcast and just speed run Mario for hours. And that's what like I want.
And there's people who make millions of dollars on Twitch doing that.
Yeah. And I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
So like now I'm on Twitch. See, so you were talking about like having these, like all these podcasts and all the platforms. For me, I'm kind of like breaking up in my head of being like, Higher Than Other Words is kind of like, it's a more mature thing, meaning like it deals with like deeper things or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to be on Facebook and Instagram because that's where the people in like my age demographic are. But then when I think about Stone and Nerdy, I'm on Twitter because I just think everyone's on Twitter, and then Twitch, because Twitch is just this great platform that I just kind of stumbled across. So I'm going to just use this platform on Twitch and Twitter.
And you're going to record the audio if you want to listen to it as a pod. Like,
and so that'll come out as a podcast. I really don't know what the schedule is going to be on that.
What I would do though, just with Stone and Nerdy, is I would
Stone and Nerdy.
Stone and Nerdy. The dedicated DD. Dedicated wham.
To Stone and Nerdy.
Yeah. Maybe I realize as I get drunker and higher that my stutter that I thought I grew out of comes back.
No, I have a stutter too, especially when I'm really nervous.
I had a stutter and a speech impediment growing up.
Again, we're trying to overcome that karmic whatever this is and be like,
fucking fight the system.
Well, our internal like spiritual path.
I almost said some shit. I almost said like, you know what, God, fuck you. You gave me a stutter. I'm gonna fight through it, bitch.
Well, see, okay, let's get deep for a second. There's some
welcome to the podcast.
There's some interpretations of the Old Testament that see God as the antagonist and us as the protagonist.
Yeah, like God's like, fuck you, Dad. I'll do better than you think I can.
Right, and I think there's something to be said about we don't give the antagonist enough. You don't give the devil his due to be said. It's like, it's a hard, and any father or mother who's had to discipline their child or any sort of doing anything like that, it's like, I don't want to do this, but it's for their good. And I think that that's the role of, Satan or the antagonistic aspect of God, to be like, I don't really want to be doing this because who I am at my core is love and light and all those things. But to get to the best place of love and light, you have to kind of have your shit kicked every once in a while,
Can I make a really high pitch to you right now?
Sure.
What if God and the devil are real.
Yeah.
Obviously,
What if
for me, I guess that came through my brain.
No, I mean, that's a great way to start that question.
But every person that we always talk about, like we talk about a person that you like, maybe that was like, now we're talking about people who were never even on film. Like we talk about like Michael Jordan. Everyone's like, in his day, he would have never. And then you look at film, and you're like, oh, he had his moment of doubt. But because he's shown us so much great, he gets turned to 11 as this godly figure.
Mhm.
So what if God is literally, this is gonna sound like this, I almost started saying, what if God was one of, like something like,
What if God was one of them?
one of us?
Yeah, man.
And he is just a normal, humble ass dude who maybe doesn't even have the power we think he has,
Mhm.
but he is the creator, but he still kind of like has his human flaws because we are made in his image.
Mhm.
But like kind of like how we see a celebrity and we're like, oh my God, you are this amazing thing. And then you meet, and you're like, wait a second. There's absolutely no difference between me and you.
You're a man, just like me.
And the devil, because he had a different viewpoint of God. So like example, you would be the God in this situation and I would be the devil. Because I revolted against the creator, but still had my own likeness and image of him.
Mhm.
I don't want to hurt and torture. Like people think when you go to hell, you're getting tortured and you're getting destroyed, and they just, do whatever sexual act you're against to you the entire time, because that's always like, you're gonna go to hell and get done in the butt. But some people enjoy that. I'm not kink shaming or whatever you're into, or if you're gay, straight. But once again, his character, his persona turned to 11. What if hell and heaven are just these two different realms where we know in God's image we are like-minded people, and we kind of just go to those two different realms?
You're absolutely right. In the Hare Krishna world,
I just came up with that,
dude. I mean, you're absolutely right, because it's I think that's even the idea of the Christian. Let me just say what I was going to say about the Hare Krishnas is they have this idea of different planes. You can be in a higher plane, but if you're not spiritually prepared for it, it can seem like hell. But it could be if you're in the right place, then it could be a blissful state. But because you haven't done the lower, dirtier work or whatever, that higher sensation.
Because I think the biggest problem that we have in our world, and I'm not trying to downplay like rape and murder and all these are horrible things, because they are terrible. But I think if you look at it as a more like, even more than murder or any of those things, I think the biggest problem we have in our world is segregation and separation.
Well, I mean, that's what that leads to. I mean, that is like any type of segregation is just a separation. That's anything. Anything. So anytime you're saying that I no longer need to treat that person as I should.
We literally segregate everything. Like we're like,
that's what I'm saying about tribalism.
That's our worst thing, is we segregate.
We just want to put things, because it's easy for us to be like, they're bad, they're good, I can treat them however I want to treat them, when that's not the case. The world isn't as black and white as that. The world is, it's a lot more complex. And I think, the idea of a lot of the world of religion, especially Christianity, is this idea of, you mentioned it, is the image of God. And that's been my biggest task of just for years, man, is just being like, every person that I interact with, I want to know that they bear that image. And I think, the thing that you said was brilliant, but the only thing I would say about it is you're speaking about God being a man, but for me, it's like, well, no, God became man, like it's not from, you're celebrating that glory of what if God was kind of just this person around us. Well, it's like, yeah, but he's everyone. What if he was everyone? My high brain couldn't go that far. Here's one of the most interesting phenomenons I've ever had, and it was marijuana related. I fasted for a couple of days, and it was 3 days, and then on the end of the third night, I took some edible brownies.
I'm not ready for that world yet.
No, well, I was seeking, man. I'm like, I want to know what this. I was really seeking deep truth, and so I'm like, and for whatever reason, this is the route that desire took me on. And I was at this church, and I was sitting in like a meditative pose, and I was just gone. And I felt like there was a really thin veil between me and whatever that ultimate feeling of benevolent otherness, when you feel like gratitude well up within you. That's kind of the iceberg of the peak of that experience. And so it's like, well, I want to see the bottom of this. I want to get to this. And I kept saying to the experience, or to God, I was like, I want to see your face. I want to see your face. And the only thing that I heard back was, if you want to see my face, look around you. And then the experience stopped, and I was just back to normal. And then I was just like,
I'm like, God, you know how much I paid for that shit? You just ruined my high.
No, man, it was, and it's, here's what I'll say is once I understand that, I think I'll be able to embody something that I just haven't been able to yet.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest thing of just like, what if I treated everyone like they were the person that I was seeking in that time? You know, and I think for me, my issue with, and like I said, this is there's no structure at this point. We've already run down a rabbit hole. That's fine.
Because in my brain,
Stoned and Nerdy, check that out. I'll be talking about comic books and smoking weed.
Yeah.
So that'll be on
welcome
Twitch,
to the network,
audio, whatever.
Yeah. Welcome to the network, Tim.
Thanks, buddy.
Your brand two podcasts. One, I think it should be a podcast, and then I think you should differentiate every live stream as saying one's a podcast, like when you talk just about comics, and then one when you're actually playing games. And
I'm going to do that. Yeah, because I am going to just do normal.
I'm just thinking like if I was like listening to a podcast and the guy's speed running Tony Hawk, I can't visually see what he's talking about. So
so that's just going to be another thing. And so I would just say follow me on Twitch. It's at Stone and Nerdy 89 because Stone and Nerdy was taken. It'll be linked somewhere. We'll promote it the heck out of it. But just follow
our Twitch channel will start streaming games soon too. That's another thing. Once I go day shift, I'm going to start doing like come home from work, play like an hour or two every night.
Yeah. So I need to get a capture card. I'm probably going to order that after I leave here so I can, because right now I'm just doing Tony Hawk, but I'd really like to get Mario, and I can't do that without having a capture card for my Switch.
Yeah.
So I'll get that hooked up. I have a camera. The nice thing about doing it on Switch is I'll be able to hook it into my computer, and then I don't know how good the frame rate's going to be because I have a shitty computer. So please bear with me as I'm trying to just work all this out.
It's pretty demanding.
Yeah, I figured. But yeah, and just come along for the ride with me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's get back to our bullshit.
Okay. Well, I don't even remember. I'm sorry. I just feel like I derailed.
So I said my problem with spirituality and I would say the term God.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the answer to this is going to be, well, it's not on your time, right? I know that. So
well, let's see what.
So there's been many moments where I come across people who I'm always skeptical. Like I'm always like, I don't believe, because I put myself around people who I would feel are very, very spiritual, and they say what you're saying to me, where I've reached out and I've heard back, you know what I'm saying? And then I went through so many moments of where I was like, tonight's the night. Like after tonight, I'm going to find out what's on the other side because I don't want to be here no more.
Right.
And I said, talk to me and tell me I'm making the wrong or right decision. And I never heard back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or I never heard back in the fashion I thought I was going to hear back.
Mm-hmm.
And then growing, even when I'm not in those moments, where I'm just like, hey, I'm in my own head right now. Let's have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a real fucking thing? Because I have zero belief in you.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me. And I hear nothing. So I'm just like, I'm kind of like, I understand, like, I guess that time will come when I'm ready for it. But it's just like, I feel like I've challenged so many times, or I felt like for me, I was open and ready and willing to seek and accept that. And nothing ever came. So I was just like, is there anything, you know, because if I was in a situation looking down on me and being selfish, you're looking at someone who's open to willing to receive, and you're just like, fuck them, I'll wait 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, I think you're absolutely right. And I love having these conversations with you because most people kind of shy away from either saying that to someone who believes in God or some like that just don't want to talk about it because it's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that say things like I've heard from God and whatever. And
then like someone who's like me is like, you're like, I don't want to be like, I'm not labeling you, but like, you're fucking crazy. Like that did not happen. Right. But I'm not going to sit here and call you a liar because I truly believe you, because you never came across to me as someone, and this is how I take everybody. If you sit across from me, I'm going to take you at your word until you prove to me otherwise. You know what I mean?
You know who says something about that? Good old Jesus. Yeah, he's like, you can judge a tree by its fruit.
You always say I'm very Jesus-like.
Well, dude, and that's what I was going to go back to. It's just like, well, again, like even the devil believes in God. The devil is aware that God exists, but like
he hung out with the guy.
Yeah, and it's like the word belief is such a bad word for it because it's really it's about, you know, because I see Jesus when I look at you because you're all about community and bringing, you know, leopards together or whatever. And I'm not saying that about anybody, but it's like, yeah, it's one of your podcasts was called Not Cool in High School, or just interviews with everyday people, you know? So look at the verbiage that you're using and being like, I'm just trying to bring together everybody. And I can't.
I didn't even subconsciously do that.
You subconsciously.
You just blew my fucking head.
Yeah, man. Like it, again, I've said this on almost every.
You know what tornado tag like the definition of that match means?
No.
There's no tag, so you don't have to wait for your turn. You just you're both as partners are working together at the same time.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Dude.
The only two shows I personally didn't name is Banging Beers and Truth Behind Illusion.
Yeah, there you go. So like, I mean, yeah, man, I don't. So like, when you say to me, you're like, I don't know if I believe in these things. I'm like, yeah, it's fun that you think that. Because I'm like, just me and Jesus over here are like, yeah, like
we got
there are. And it's no, see, that's wrong too. Like, Jesus doesn't need you to be like, okay, now I believe in Jesus. And that's even going back to like,
boy,
you don't, that was fantastic. You don't need to have the same experience of God that I do. You don't need to, because I know people who don't hear, God in their head and yet are spiritual. They pray, they read their Bible and all those things. And like, that's not how
that's pure faith.
Well, I think
by definition.
For me, I think it's like, well, no, because my experiences, God has always kind of been very,
I'm listening. I can hear you.
Sure.
Yeah.
God has always kind of teased me with those things of being like, every time that I've ever kind of felt, I won't say this is like universally true, but most of the times that I've been like, God, I would say 98% of the times that I'm like, God, I need you to speak to me right now. It hasn't happened.
Yeah.
But there's been times where I'm like, oh yeah, that was like clear direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if everyone has that phenomenon. I think something that we'll learn as kind of we break down barriers between us all or whatever.
How do you sound?
Is that we're gonna learn that like people have different internal words than other people. Why would we assume?
You want to come talk with us? Fuck you.
Why would we assume that everyone's inner world is the same when everyone's external world is different? So for everyone to assume that's like, oh, all because I don't have these experiences or I do have these experiences doesn't necessarily mean that another person will. I have, a strong desire to play music and other people have no desire. That's an external thing, for the most part. But yeah, so why would our internal worlds be the same? Because, and again, just look at the world around you. There's nothing out here that would say that there is a point where everything is completely the same.
It's weird because like, and I'm not trying to say that I'm anything, and like, I'm just saying this is how my brain works and how I've been. Like, I could be like, I disagree with you on so many things, but when I see you and most people for what I feel in my brain is what every human wants in the world. Like, if you boil us all down, we all at the end of the day want the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you kind of peel back more layers of that onion or add more layers to the onion that's where you add like, I like music, I like this. And then there's that one bad layer. Then there's this, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of talking like your mom. That's why I like your mom a lot. Cause we both use a lot of analogies when we talk.
Yeah. My mom's very like that. I'm very much just like, well, this is what you're saying. Like, yes. I'm very good at interpreting, like symbols and whatever.
Yeah. I'm definitely the analysis, like the analogy guy.
Yeah.
That's why your mom, when she talks, I'm like, I like that.
Well, our brains are literally wired like that. We don't know, we can't relate to something unless we can relate to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, unless like I don't know what Mars smells like because I just don't have a point of reference, right?
I think that's eventually what I was trying to say here, and it kind of, now once again, I'm definitely in a different mind state that I normally am when I podcast, but like. And it's going to sound like I'm being egotistical, at least that's what my internal dialogue is coming, because I always doubt myself. But I feel like
we're just here to talk. There's no right.
I think me as a person, and I wonder if other people feel this way. So I guess I'm kind of putting it out there in the universe, where you feel godlike, because
I mean, you kill a person. That's what I've heard. The biggest rush in the world is, and the biggest, you want to feel like God, go ahead and kill somebody.
I'm never going to do that.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I'll never say never.
Did I just shut down your channel?
No.
But I mean,
never say never. If I'm threatened.
Well, I mean, so many people that have killed people that it's like, what was it like? It was one of the greatest sensations of my world.
I'm gonna get not as dark, but so essentially, like if I'm in a room with 15 people. And I have an opportunity to meet all 15
and kill all.
I would murder all 15. No, I would say I would leave that room thinking, not that I'm a better person, but I would be like, oh my God, out of all 15 people, I see myself in them. And I see myself more or less like of the positive traits they portray. But can relate to the negative. And then I turn around and I step back, and I've always felt like I'm literally the same mindset of 15 people in here,
Mhm.
and they don't see that, but I do. So I feel like in a way like superior, but in a way like I always have the mindset is like, how can I now bring these 15 people who are so off the spectrum together because they don't see the connection I see.
Right.
If that makes any fucking sense of what I'm trying to say.
No, it does. I think what you're trying to say is you're trying to point people to something that is potentially a better way of kind of seeing things than what is
very beautiful. It said, please keep doing what you're doing. I do very appreciate the realness, the personality, and the satire.
Thank you. I have a lot of satire in me. Which comes from a lot of jaded.
I have a lot of
bitterness.
very much.
Yeah, you have a lot of very much.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
No, I just pulled another 2 words from this. You said satire, and I pulled very much.
Oh, good.
It was a good joke.
No, that was a great joke. I'm laughing so hard.
Fuck you, Heidi.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What were we talking about?
I don't remember. That I feel like I'm God.
No. Well, I see, again, what does it mean to be made in the image of God? And I just, again, if you want to go and listen to my podcast, is I do believe that I think, I did this episode that I think is one of the most important episodes to my podcast because it's me just talking about what I talk about what do I mean when I say God?
Mm-hmm.
It's called the field in which all things grow. And that's what I mean when I talk about this is that there is this, you have this idea of source, this kind of thing from which all things emerge out of. And I have this image in my head of God existing in its eternal state, emptying itself into limitation, and then going out as the Big Bang, and then going and just rolling into creation and becoming atoms and then molecule, like everything coming together till eventually.
I might have to turn you down a little bit here.
Why?
Because
until eventually all of that just becomes 2 guys sitting across from each other looking at it and being like, I wonder if there's a God.
Yeah. Here we are.
And here we are. And here we sit. And here we're like, it's the whole thing is like forgetting. And I think that's you see it especially in Hinduism, you see it in Christianity, is this idea of forgetting and awakening. And that's what even you were just talking about right now is you're like, I want to help people see things that they're not seeing. That's literally the word you were using.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this thing of like, oh, wait, there's a better way of going forth in life. And it's being aware of how you're treating other people. It's just fundamentally being aware.
Yeah.
That's the first step of any sort of spiritual enlightenment is being aware of how you think, how you treat other people, how you feel.
Now, here's a question for you as well. Maybe I'm just workshopping things in my brain here.
Let's do it.
All right,
we got pretty much everything off the off the table. Now we can just shoot the shit for an hour.
Heidi's gonna say shut the fuck up in the other room in there. Not shut the fuck up, but like anyway. We'll see how it goes. You're gonna have something. So when I build a stable, I guess I would say, or I'd have my fellowship or my people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes hold them to higher standards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So where I feel like if we've connected, there's a reason we've connected, and I kind of don't put the same stock into you as I would do another, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I would look at it as if like a hunger meter, like my wife, like some of my family members, where they'll turn around and say, "You're willing to talk to strangers, but you won't talk to me," or "I have a bond with you, and you openly have a bond with a stranger before us." And then then I say something where I'm trying to bring everyone together, and I'm willing to have those conversations, but I don't have them with she's staring at me, with the people
I can feel her behind me. Don't worry about it.
The people I love the most, or I put on the higher pedestal. And then what I try to convey is not that I don't have this is me as Jesus, because we established I am God and Jesus. Tim said it. And
I didn't say Jesus. That's something else.
That's what my brain heard. But anyway, I feel like that you're not as hungry as the other. You know what I'm saying? Or I've not saying I've got my use, but I got to the point of comfort and love with you. I want to now bring someone else in.
See, it's interesting to me because my brain, and this is like the spiritual thing, is like I look like at someone like Jamie, or like especially like Abby Weaver, or people that I worked with over in Taiwan, like deep soulmates, and like we use those terms for a reason. Again, like I'm just going to keep going.
I kind of feel like they're good.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like I'm like I have my time with you, and I will have my time with you. That's how I feel about everyone.
But more work needs to be done.
yeah, it's like, yeah, there's people that need to come into this deeper soul connection. And like the people who are in the soul connection, we're in this forever.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I love Heidi and I love Jamie, and like we're gonna have our time together for forever, because this thing is it just never stops. And there's peaks and there's valleys and whatever, but we have our time together. But there's people who it's like, and I feel like we're people who don't know what we're talking about from an experience point of view will kind of seem like we're being condescending.
I feel like we're talking crazy, but to me this conversation makes sense.
No, we're trying to here's what we're saying in the simplest of terms. We've found a way of life that has worked for us to feed something that we've been looking for a long time. And we believe that at a subconscious level, whether this is true or not, that other people are looking for those same things. And we're like saying like, hey, I mean, that was the whole reason I went to Taiwan, was because I'm like Jesus. And that's true. And that's not true to some degree of that being the answer. But the radicalization around it wasn't good. But I mean, again, going back to, we started this podcast talking about excitement being this thing that's like, it overwhelms, and it shows the inherent goodness of people, because it's like when you're at your best, when you're excited, when you're like, woof, all you want to do is share. And I think that that's so beautiful, because the opposite of that is like, it's the ego. It's just me. And it's like, no, I want to be, when there's pain, then when there's suffering, especially for men, it's like, I want to be alone in this suffering.
I definitely still do that.
Oh yeah, me too. Hardcore, buddy.
Where I'm just like, all right, fuck all yous, I'm shutting off today.
But it needs, like, I think it just acknowledging that, it's just being like, there are things that I'm
doing that currently at work right now.
What do you mean?
Where there's a job and a function that
it's Heidi. I wasn't sure if Heidi left.
She got her. She's like, he didn't say anything stupid, and she ran away. But we're at work where I'm kind of like, there's a job that a lot of people don't like doing. It's not as hard, but it's mind numbing, and you're by yourself and you're isolated, and it feels like a punishment when you're doing this job. And because I'm in a mind state where I'm still like, I'm struggling from things that are going on in my personal life, and my work life is something I'm not saying I don't value, but I'm there for the sole purpose of bringing home money to pay bills in this weird construct of a world we live in. Right. So like I take stock in the people I work with as humans, just like I would in my normal life, but it's different.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird that we separate human beings and a lifestyle that way. Like, my job is there because I enjoy. I do, and I listen. I'm there because I love the company, and I'm there because I like my job, and it's a good job, and it's not something I'm going to hurt myself or the whole nine and all that positive things about your workplace. I'm not going to say the name so I don't get fired. Sure. But on the same token, like, I'm at a point now where, like, I think because I'm at work more than I'm at home, because now I work and I'm around people. So when I'm at home, I work night shift. I am alone. So then I go to work and I'm like, I still kind of want to be alone. I want to put my headphones in. I kind of want to just do my thing and get and not be around people. So I keep taking this job here. Like, why do you keep doing that? And I think the outward perception I'm trying to put is I'm just frustrated at the job, but I'm just frustrated with everything in general. And I'm trying to rebuild myself. So I'm doing that isolation in almost a form of meditation while I'm at work to better myself. Yeah,
man. And I think especially, like, I can't speak to what it's like to be a woman, because as far as I know, I've never been one.
Yeah,
but to be a man, it seems like I need my time to be alone and just be distracted and just focus on.
Yes, lady. What about me and your spiritual group? You're the fucking leader.
Yeah, you're the, well, I mean, you are exactly what you are. You're the crazy lady who lives on the hill that we go to for potions.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know
the
what
Merlin.
else. Yeah, you're the Merlin of the group.
You know how I would see her?
That was my mother, everybody.
And I only gave this description to two people, and one of them's going to be your mom, and the other one is someone who I called mom for a very, very long time, because I held her in that regard as a mother figure. But we always used to joke around with her and say she's our master splinter. So
my mom wouldn't catch that reference. That was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Master Splinter is as close to God as Jesus you're going to get in that realm. I
mean, he's the moral compass, right?
And so he's the guidance. He's the one
guidance.
word. And then he has raised these four sons. Which aren't really his sons, right? He has taken them in, made them family, and then taught them the way of mental and martial arts.
It's almost like the story is built into our core at our fundamental.
Everything is. Here's the thing. I don't understand how we live in a community, and I guess I'm guilty of this. Like, we live in a community of pop culture and nerdiness, where most people who listen to and read comics and like nerdy stuff, at least because I surround myself with more of these people, are normally atheists.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's because they're using, I mean, to just speak bluntly, and this is just the alcohol, this is my opinion, but I think it's because of the lack of that hero narrative that religions often offer.
Yes.
It's because video games and wrestling is literally you're overcoming everything. You're literally
everything
heroes.
in pop culture is having that one head figure that you.
It's built into our core, and it's literally evolution when you unpack it.
I probably should have said "God damn" in that reference, but you son of a bitch, you.
That's probably just as bad. But what's being
she
said?
Said hero in a half shell.
Wow,
I fucking love your mom. Can she get stoned and nerdy with us soon?
Turtle power.
In the barn, star nutty in the barn.
I'm not. I don't want to. Never mind. We'll talk about that. That'll be. I have a story for you. But yeah, man, I think it's literally built into the fabric of reality. This idea of overcoming, because it's evolution. It's like, how do I survive? It's the survival.
We all want to be heroes. We all want to be famous. We all want love. We all want.
And that's why I'm like, yeah, go ahead and say that you don't believe in God, but then you spend like hours being like, what if I was the best version of myself? And I'm like, yeah, that's essentially like, you can spend all day like arguing the semantics of the statement, but when you're like, I just want to be the best version of myself, and I always am, it's like, it's nice to have that during times of depression and whenever, to be like, no, there are some things that I'm good at. I can fucking jump on a Goomba and make them turn into a coin. At least I can do that, you know? So it's like,
what if every time you murder someone, you got a coin? Anyway, sorry, go back. We're on a good thing here and I had to ruin it.
No, man. And I think, so like for me, it's never like, please know I can speak.
Awesome, man. Door's always open. Shoot me a message. We'll get you on.
Yeah.
Either one of us. You can get on either one of our podcasts.
Turtle power.
Yeah.
Just hit us up. Higher than other words. Interviews with this seems like a coming together that has been long time coming.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've just been the like kind of guy just off doing my thing. Like, I mean, well, I guess for the longest time I just associated with you solely as a person, but now you've
kind of going back to that thing too, where like we don't reach out as much as we probably should, but also we also see each other as that cup that doesn't need that attention right now.
Which is weird because we didn't have a time. See, this is why I think that there's literally something deep and like spiritual to it, because it's like,
we definitely have a connection that's stronger than most.
And we're not worried about, I feel like if I died tomorrow, you would be like, oh, it's okay. Like, because I know I'll connect again in whatever way, you know, like, and I know that you have that, like, you just have that in you and you have that understanding. But here's the craziest thing about that is we don't have a prior relationship to that soul connection.
No, we literally met because I did an interview. They're one and the same with either Look Alive or Mahantungo, and Brett.
Not one and the same.
And Brett.
One is rock and roll, and the other one is pop.
All right, so the bass player of both of those bands.
And drummer?
No, just bass player.
No, drummer.
What?
The drummer's also.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The bass player is the connection here.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
He literally sat at this table twice with two different bands and had a conversation. And I said, who's someone I should talk to in this area? And he looked at me and said, I think you and Tim would be a great connection.
Yeah.
And he's literally a great guy. He put that glue together, and then I kind of you reached out to me, and I was like, oh my God, I heard about you through Brett. And then here we are 7 times at this table.
Well,
and then
6 times at this table. One time, and you son of a bitch.
But on your show twice.
You've been on my show twice, and you did this is just us reminiscing. We'll get into more fun stuff soon.
This is ADD at its finest.
Do you want to talk about, we'll get into alcohol. Let's actually, I want to try this, bud, because it's getting close to my time. I got to bounce at 6. Somebody on the network group chat asked when the news was breaking of the new shows on the network, and the answer is currently. So if you're watching that, it's currently. Yeah, man, I'm really excited for Stone and Nerdy because I don't know what it's supposed to be.
I don't know how, because I'm an older but badass skater art chick that has a story that would blow your socks off. Dude, like I said, if you're local, if you're in the Pennsylvania area, you're local, we can do it in person.
Yeah.
If you're not and you have a webcam and a microphone, we can do it virtually. Either one can definitely make it work between us.
See, that's what's great about you, man, is is that you're just this guy who, just what we've been talking about this whole time. It's just this idea of connecting, you know? Are we going to pour these into here? Do I have to finish this?
Heidi, can you get us 2 glasses, please? The sampler glasses, the big and bigger ones.
What a sweetheart.
I love her to death.
I don't know if that's just
smaller. Like, give me the four of the glasses, the glasses.
I'm actually, so just kind of while this is going on, I'm probably going to be twitching tonight. So if you want to just come by and watch me play some Tony Hawk, I'm going to be going live at 8. I don't have any video for that. I do have my podcast, Hyrith in Other Words. Thank you so much, Heidi. That has video and audio. So that's on Facebook. And I pre-record my episodes because I actually, a lot lately, I've been doing 2 recordings of them, which I don't like, that I've given myself that leeway to do. I should just be like once and done. But I always like finish and then I'm like, because I'm a verbal processor. I don't know if you know that about me, clearly, because I'm just like blah, 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 blah.
I verbal process later and then fucking hate myself for 90% of the thing I say because I overthink and analyze it.
Yeah.
That's me.
I had a conversation today with somebody about my podcast, and like they were at like one of the first people that, I won't say the first people, but it's very hard to find people who are actually interested. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like it's hard to find people that just listen and just like ask good questions, you know, because again, people like you and me, we just want to say things that we know, and we'll just ask the questions that like will
as they come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What are we trying?
All right. So I got a message on the Bang & Beers podcast from this company called Coco. And I should probably clip this and put it as like a thing. But they reached out and they said, hey, we would love for you to try our drinks on Bang & Beers, which we are going to. But the thing with Bang & Beers is we took a week off because we had some things going on. Yeah. Sure. And then the following weeks are pre-recorded episodes because I have like a shit ton of them. And then the next show we would be back would be July 4th.
Nice.
But July 4th, people want to be with their families and hang out. So they're busy. So I don't have an episode July 4th. Following week is another pre-recorded. So the time we would get to these is going to be later on. So I went and I looked. This company hit me up and they're like, hey, we want you to try them on the show. We're going to try them right now because they sent me a case.
Yeah, you have a lot. They were really generous.
They were very, very generous. And I thought they were fake because I get 14 ads a day on Instagram on all my accounts.
Yeah.
Only on Instagram. And it's like, hey, we think you would be a great ambassador for our supplement line. And I look at them and I go, you didn't look at me because I'm fat and I don't work out. And then I get one where it's like, we think you're a badass chick and you would look great in goth clothes. And I'm like, I think goth chicks look great in goth clothes, but I don't think I would look good in your clothing. And then I'd get ones where it's like, you heard of Manscaped. We're nothing like them. We're smoothyourballs.com. And I'm giving all these people free ads. So they're killing it. And and I was like, this is completely fake. So Coco Cocktail, which, sorry, I love your name, sounds fake. Yeah. Like if Coco Cocktail messaged you and said, hey, Tim, you want a free case of booze? You're going to be like, this is fake. And you're going to ignore the message. So
5% too.
Yeah. So what I said is cool, love to try it. And they wrote back, what's your address? We'll send you a case. And I'm like, if they have the address, that's done transaction. You're not asking for a PayPal. You're not asking for any other person. So I said, here's my address.
Yeah.
We'll try when they get here. Thinking they're never going to get here. Sure enough, here's a case of Coco Cocktail.
All right. What's this first one?
The first one we're trying is going to be lemon key lime.
Awesome. That sounds good.
I normally don't like key lime, like the key lime pies, but and lemon lime and drinks for me always taste like cleaner. So we'll see how. But I like 7-Up. Weird. Here we go. Wow.
Yeah, that is it sits there well. It's not like abrasive. It's
all right. So I don't think this is beer. Technically beer.
What is it?
This might be beer. I thought.
I don't think this is beer. This might be beer.
I don't know by definition what this, because it says a cocktail. So when I think cocktail, I think of like spirits, right?
So maybe, I think the usage of the word cocktail is probably like a combination of things. Because what is that over there? That's pomegranate berry. And what did you say this was?
Key lime, a lemon key lime.
Yeah, so that's 2 different flavors. So it's a cocktail insofar as if it's a cocktail of 2 things coming together.
So here's our review. Here's our Bang & Beers review.
Now I've been on Bang & Beers.
Essentially at this table, you've already kind of halfway done it. So if you're used to seltzers, like you're drinking a seltzer beer, like a White Claw or have you ever tried like any of those, the seltzers, where you get that TV, they call it TV static, where you get the tingly, bubbly nose feeling? This drinks like flavored water.
Yeah.
There's no seltzery taste to it at all. There's no bubbly.
No.
There's nothing. This almost drinks like, but there's booze in it.
I was gonna say that I don't have this feeling of, maybe it's because I already have alcohol on my tongue. I think that's the problem, is that I'm assuming any alcohol that I taste.
I take it back. You don't taste booze in it.
Yeah, I think that's what's already on your tongue.
It's like water,
because it's so light, and water, again, it's not a bad thing. It's very light, and it's blended very well.
It is.
Yeah. So it's like, again, there's no like, oh, there's clearly the flavor. It's like, oh, I'm having this experience all at once.
All right. Full disclosure, I think if you brought these to a party at 5% each, and you can drink a case of these.
Yeah, it's
no
a problem. That's a problem.
You're gonna have a problem later.
Oh yeah.
This drink's like Gatorade.
Yes. Yeah, it has a very similar I mean, I don't know if I love Gatorade, especially. I think that would be a great party drink. Like, yeah,
it's like boozy Gatorade.
Yeah,
but you don't have
Boozerade.
But you don't have Boozerade. But
there you go. You can have that
name
one for free.
New name. You can have that. But it doesn't. It doesn't. A Gatorade, you can definitely tell you're getting that electrolyte thing, where it kind of has that like, this is a sports drink taste to it, where it's not so much the water.
Mm-hmm.
This has the flavor, the strong flavor of a Gatorade, but no that electrolyte taste where it tastes like flavored water.
Right. There's none of that like I don't know how to say it other than like the sharpness of it.
Because some flavored waters don't have enough flavor, and then when they have too much flavor, they taste super sugary.
Mm-hmm.
Like this literally tastes like you took lemon and lime and squirted it into a glass and drank it.
Yep. Yeah. All right, you ready to try the other one?
Yeah. All right. So this is pomegranate berry. Heidi, do you want to take a sip of this? Come here. You're actually the ultimate judge, because you don't like anything like this.
This definitely smells like pomegranate.
Come right here.
Sit down, Heidi. Throw on headphones.
Come show your face. You want to sit at the head of the table? You can.
Hi, Heidi. That is a beautiful looking tattoo.
Thank you.
Oh, she got her new one. She got a brand new.
Who's that?
From Abaddon Tattoo Studio. That's Amber. She's just finished her apprenticeship, I believe. I actually did hit her up recently, and I was like, I need to get something done for you. I have something. Yeah, I can't spoil it, but I have something that I want her to do, and it's a silly joke one. I want her to do a serious one and a silly joke one. She's killing it right now. She's doing good.
She's doing great.
Have you seen her photo shoots?
Yeah.
What a babe. Eddie, you're a lucky man. His Amber looks good in those photos.
Eddie Collins, you dog, you.
Yeah.
I just love him out there doing whatever Eddie Collins is doing.
He's just a sweetheart of a human.
I don't see Eddie. Yeah, Eddie's another guy. Eddie was the first guy I hung out with when I came back to Taiwan for the first time.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a good
Eddie.
pick.
And here's what makes that really silly was before I moved to Taiwan, Eddie and I really didn't hang out that much. And then somebody just joked, was like, what if you just stop hanging out with all of us and then just hang out with Eddie Collins? Somebody made that joke randomly once, and it kind of just became an inside
I'd be okay
joke.
with that life.
Yeah, just hanging out with Eddie Collins.
All right, so there's a few people that I'm really, really, really close to, but we don't hang out as much. Like, we don't hang out as much as we should. And I think you definitely fall into that. Like, I think like me, you, Jamie, and Heidi should have like movie nights more. You know what I mean?
Here's the problem with having couples like you, like this together, is you and I it'll be the evening of our significant others listening to you and I talk about how nice the evening is.
That one kind of tastes like watered down cough syrup.
Yeah, this one's not as good.
So I like this one.
Oh, do you really?
Yes.
I think it hits the tongue. I'm not a big pomegranate guy, so I think that's working against me. I think I like what it is. I think I like what it's attempting to do, but I think the pomegranate, just for me as an individual, was kind of working against it.
If I didn't know this pomegranate, I immediately think maybe like a cranberry.
No, I think I would be like, because I don't know what pomegranate is, so I would be like,
I've never eaten a pomegranate.
I definitely have. Is this exciting content? You want to know that I've eaten a pomegranate?
Yeah.
Heidi, what exotic fruit have you eaten?
But
Kiwi.
Real quick.
Coconut.
No, what did Bob bring? He brought dragon fruit.
Oh yeah, dragon fruit.
When I lived in Taiwan, dragon fruit was my go in the summer.
It's essentially kiwi.
Well, you would just.
No,
it's in theory.
It's kiwi.
Yeah, I mean, it's in and taste, but it tastes a little bit different. But texture and stuff is So what I would do is I would just get it, cut it in half, and then just eat it with a spoon.
Ooh,
yeah, dude, I loved it. And they were like,
did it blow their minds? Like, we didn't this whole time.
No, that's how I learned it, was watching the locals just crack it open and then just use a spoon. I also saw a local eat chips with chopsticks, and I was just like, that's brilliant because then you don't have to worry. Like she's like
greasy hands.
Yeah, because she's like, it was like on her lunch break for school, and she's like, I don't want to go back in and like touch my keyboard with. Asian people are brilliant.
They're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, like they're just right. It's like
let's
smart.
compliment the Asians. They don't get enough love, you know?
They don't. Like, they're just literally there's just over almost 1/7 of the population of the world are Asian. I mean, it has to be more than that. It has to be like close to probably like because there's I mean, technically, Indian are considered Asian, and there's 1 billion of them. So that's 1%. There's 7. Let's go with 8.
They just don't cross over.
They're just quiet. Because it's like the difference is they're not like very.
I'm not quiet, apparently.
Well, I think just like I think their culture.
That's a work shot right there.
Well,
kill shot.
Okay, so here's me being like broadly speaking about a race that isn't my own, which is problematic, especially after a couple of drinks and some hit of marijuana. But I
can say it.
But I lived there for 5 years, and I had to listen to all my friends call me a white foreigner. So I feel like I can be like, this is my experience with living in Taiwan.
I think you're incredible.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying to say anything bad, but
I have an Asian wife.
They are, and
that's my credibility.
They are group mindseted, right? Like. All Asians are like, we are about the group. That is not like we are no stronger than the other person. I will take care of my father just as my father is taking care of.
Very family. Yeah.
In the West, we are all about the individual. It's like how, like, that's literally the American dream has nothing to do really with family. It is just what do you want, buddy?
I'm going to get money and I'm going to fucking never talk to you the rest of ever again.
That's why we did so bad with COVID.
But here, so you want
my theory.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly why. Because
I just get deep.
Well, no, okay.
Earlier.
So when I lived in Asia, people in Asia wear masks when they don't feel well, or when they know that like colds are up or whatever,
so they don't contract it.
And I remember this is a true story. I remember sitting on a train in Taiwan, being like, Americans will never wear masks.
Boy, were you?
I had that thought in 2012.
You got half of us.
Yeah, but they only wore because of circumstances. If that circumstances never happened, America would have just kept going a maskless free country as people are like,
yeah,
like and like they're just walking out in society. Yeah, like no, there's no concern for other people in our society. There's very little.
We're very individualist,
and like even like the general like what percentage of people that say that they care about other people are doing it again because of selfish, greedy reasons? Like, again, that's the whole problem with corporations being like, we love gay people now that it's profitable, you know, like, it's like, yeah, that would have been great for you to love gay people, you know, back in the 80s, you know, like they were here and you were a corporation. Like, what were you doing? You know, like you were just, now it's just trendy and popular, and it's, and everyone knows that. It's so transparent. God, and I don't know. I just got worked up about that. I mean,
dude, we are the same human. We really are. Like,
we're very similar.
You're just like, hey, I like beer, but I hate when corporations fucking capitalize on gay people.
Well, I think they can. Yeah.
We're like Paul Walker and CGI. We're like CGI Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Like, fucking taking our like.
I mean, if we had a podcast, it would be called like this. Distracted or something like that, or just whatever.
I thought you were gonna be like
that's a good one.
I thought you were gonna say
name. Just Distracted.
I mean, it would be great if we just had a podcast where we just sat down and talked about whatever, because I feel like that's like, because we're always like, let's just get to the point where we can talk about whatever.
Never happens.
Like, no, we're always just like, make sure to check out my thing.
Make
sure to check out my thing.
We come in with a game plan. We say it in the first 3 minutes.
Or what we do most of the time is we spread out over the whole show. Except it's me. It's us. Every once in a while, going to be like, we gotta talk about this thing.
Distracted would be a great time.
And it just goes in between like me being like, these are my deep personal opinion on the thing, and then I'm like, go check out this show that I'm help promoting for this organization. Like, I hope they got past all that stuff.
Yeah, but cocoa cocktails are delicious, and you can check out Stone and Nerdy. I keep saying Naughty. So my speech impediment's going back. Stone and Nerdy on the IwEP network coming soon, as well as.
Do you know what crossfaded is? Can you guess from context?
Crossfaded.
Yes.
I feel crossfaded because I'm also high and drunk at the same time.
That's exactly what crossfaded is.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
I would have thought too.
Yeah, this is how I love this on a Friday night. This is perfect. If I didn't have to go home and feed my dogs, I would just be like, yeah, just keep giving me. I'll just stay out there.
Tune in tonight at 9 o'clock.
In this
Tune in tonight at 9 o'clock at Tornado Tech Podcast.
I'm your warm up for
because
I'm excited to watch tonight and watch you just kind of sit there and just be like, wow,
this party is still rolling.
Gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you got something going on.
You have to go pick up Brian.
Who?
You have to go get Brian. There's no chance I can now.
But yeah, so while you guys are figuring out a couple things psychosomatically, I will say that before you check out Bangin' Beers at 9 o'clock, I will be streaming on the Stone and Nerdy at 8 o'clock. So if you're watching now, at tonight.
Tonight's Tornado Tag.
I thought you said you were having a Bangin'. Oh, I'm sorry.
Bangin' Beers is Sunday.
Oh,
Hyreth is also on Sunday.
Hyreth, yeah. So Hyreth is every other Sunday. So it comes out because I just feel like I kind of give deep stuff. So I don't want to just be like, here and there's another thing and there's another thing. And people are like, I haven't even unpacked the last thing. Like, yeah, and it just gives me time to like find people.
What is your
here we go. Ready, Heidi?
No, I'm gonna stay on topic. Okay. What is your community have been like with Hyreth? Like, are people responsive to your episodes? Do they talk? Do they?
Brett responds a lot.
Really?
Yeah, Brett. Because Brett,
I feel like Brett has made such a spiritual change in a short amount of time. I would love to have a conversation again. Just
me too. I feel like he would come on my podcast with like I've asked every time he messages me, I'm like, this is brilliant.
I'm very proud of him.
Please, same. I'm like, please come on my podcast and say these words because I'm trying to say these things and I can't. And you're saying because he has a very Hindu perspective, but he also has a Christian understanding. So we would be able to have a very good and like
we're like the fucking Trinity.
We are like the Trinity
because he's the fucking glue that put us together, and then he made a huge spiritual journey in a completely different direction.
He's like the spirit, which is the lacking thing from your analogy, because he's not here right now. He's just kind of like this.
You're the
ethereal.
You're God. He's Jesus. I'm the devil.
No, well, maybe Heidi's Mary, but that's just sexist. But also, I think Mary.
You fucked Heidi.
I want to be the sheep.
I wish Mary would have been in the Trinity instead of Jesus, because I think Jesus played a really because I think the problem with going forth with that trajectory of God is that there's no appreciation.
And you always need a Wonder Woman.
You always need a Wonder Woman. That's why DC has their Trinity. It has the light, which is Superman, and it has the darkness, which is Batman, and it has the
woman
feminine
in the middle.
Yep,
keeping us in check.
That's what that's about, and it's in Boom! Yeah, because we're just hot-headed idiots, and we'll just like anything that's exciting us.
Dude, your dogs don't have to eat. Hang out.
Yes, they do. They need to eat.
They do. They haven't gotten.
While
much.
You pick up Brian,
feed the dogs. The street. Feed my dog.
He literally lives right across the alley from Brian. Feed the dogs.
If you send me to feed the dogs, Brian's not making it here.
No,
she'll play with the dogs for hours.
Well,
Jamie come home like, why are you in my house?
Okay, so who did that piece? Oh no, that's your old one. I thought. See that color was holding up. I thought that was new.
That's Chris Bishop.
See Chris Bishop killing it. I would love to get something done by Kira, Chris, Amber, Caitlin.
I would get tattooed by Eddie.
Does Eddie tattoo?
No, but I just want.
But I bet he'd be good at it.
I just want to hand him a gun and be like, just fucking put something on me.
Oh, I should. Okay, we'll talk about. I have an idea. I want to talk about off. What if we had a podcast where we just tattoo each other? No,
that'll bring credibility to a fucking sponsorship. Don't tattoo your friends. Go to a professional like Abaddon. I don't even have their fucking watermark up.
Why?
Oh no, this far into it.
Shit, I'm so sorry, Abaddon. I love you so much.
Mike Watson is one of the most brilliant, beautiful, peaceful.
They were actually. Is that official? Did you go to the new one? No. Shh. All right, I'm not saying nothing.
I don't know if it's.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Don't even talk about it.
You knew before me. I don't know.
We can go. We'll go on off on a different thing, but kind of relating to that. I'm so excited for downtown Pottsville because there's that tattoo shop that's opening.
They moved from St. Clair to Pottsville. So
there's multiple breweries. I mean, one Rock's already open.
And a wine. So here's the thing. I don't think they get a lot of credit because I think
that's true.
You're right. Black Rock is a brewery, also a winery. So if you go there and you don't like beer, but you're a wine drinker, like the husband's a beer drinker, wife's a wine drinker, or vice versa, because that happens too. Where
do they have good water? Is my question.
They have great soda, and they put everything inside of a pretzel, which is super delicious.
They're having a crab fest and a seafood fest.
When? This weekend?
No, like summer.
We should go this weekend.
Black Rock Brewery, check it out. I live 4 minutes away. by walking.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's so nice.
The beers are good.
Yeah, they're good.
I would say this. The beers are, from a craft perspective, someone who has for now 3 years been drinking every beer from all over the place. They're not gonna, like, if you're a super diehard, hardcore, smart beer drinker, like, no, I don't want to say smart. I'm saying smart like in a wrestling term, where like people know more behind the scenes. And
you just have a heady understanding of the whatever the thing is.
Exactly. I don't think Black Rock's gonna blow you away.
Sure, I think it's very just kind of like, hey, like let's.
But if you're a good, I want to try. I'm a domestic beer drinker where I drink nothing but Miller Lite, Yingling, Coors Light, all that stuff, and I might want to dip my toes into the craft world and get a good experience where it meets that middle between craft.
Sorry, did I just block us out?
Yeah, craft and like they're a good introductory brewery, which is not a negative connotation at all, because they do sneak some stuff in their recipe that even a hardcore craft beer drinker be like, this is a good fucking beer.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job of being like, we're not gonna, because they're trying to reach the people of Pottsville, and they don't. What I love about the people of Pottsville, because that I can relate to, is like, I don't need a brewery, like.
We have 400 bars.
But it's nice that it's there if it's good, So it's like you have to make the beer at your brewery, accessible to the everyday man who's going to just be walking in off the street, So it's like
I thought the blonde was my favorite beer.
Yeah.
And then I had the blonde again, and I was like, I still enjoy it. It got stronger tasting. So the first batch I had, remember I told you, I was like, dude, it doesn't taste like it's that strong. It has a little bit of a stronger taste now.
Okay.
But
I do the Lantern Light.
Cage Canary. Beautiful.
Yeah.
IPA. Very good beer.
There you go, Jay. That one was for you, buddy.
Yeah. Love the Cage Canary. I like all their beers. The Pilsner's really good. The Lager's really good.
Yeah.
Really
like I said, I do the Lantern Light. That's my go-to. Or the strawberry thing that they have there at the moment. But
I just kind of like their seltzer / sour. So
I shouldn't have pointed that out.
They snuck in. That's all right. They sneak in. Yeah, thanks a lot, asshole. Welcome to the family.
As I come in, I'm like, I'll ruin your jokes and point out your flaws.
They sneak it. They sneak in the Pilsners. They sneak in because this Pilsner's like your domestic, like your Miller Lite, Coors Light. They sneak in your light lagers, and that's kind of what they showed the world. Like, here's our light lager, here's our Pilsner, and then they're like, now here's another lager. Here's this. Now they're kind of like, hey, we're gonna sneak in a sour. Here's a seltzer. They're opening up their variety, and it's cool because not only is that a thing. Because they're getting the assistance from Springgate as well, because Springgate makes good beers. I think more Springgate should be on tap as well, but I understand why they don't yet, because they're trying to establish the brand of Black Rock, right? And then they have a guest tap, which is normally like a Pilgrim brewery, which is going to come down the street.
I'm so excited for
which is super cool. And just I just want to put another plug to Black Rock. You're drinking out of your Black Rock glass, by the way.
I love you, Jay. Jay.
They have all their taps on. Then now they work with Springgate, and Springgate is turning around saying, don't put one of our beers on. Show that you're the brewery. We'll do our wine. Yep. We'll take that back seat, because they make decent beers too. And we'll turn around, because I think because what kind of happened to me was I tried both Black Rock beers the first time they ever opened, and they also had like 2 or 3 Springgates. And I left there like, I really like the Springgates because I had more selection of the Springgate. Where now they're like, we're not even going to put our beers on tap. Show that you're the forefront here, because this is your building. Right. We'll supply the wine, which I think, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, but in my brain, that's kind of like,
that's how it works.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to promote that.
And then you have your upcoming brewery down the street as your guest tap, and that sells out fucking quick because they've been making beers like so. Black Rock, just behind the scenes, Black Rock is making beers with Springgate, and they're learning together. Where Pilgrim has been making beers and then going and collaborating with breweries all over the East Coast, and getting better. So if you're the hardcore craft brewery guy,
that's your spot.
Pilgrim is going to be your spot. But if you want like, hey, I normally only drink XYZ beers, I want to have that environment. Black Rock's gonna be, and then you can kind of meet in the middle and learn from each other.
They also have trivia nights and all those things, so it is kind of just geared a lot more towards like family fun. Whereas I think like a brewery can be like, no, this is about the enjoyment of alcohol. You know? And that's. I
think Pilgrim's gonna do some stuff. I think you're gonna see some music there as well.
Right, and here's what I want to say.
I did see the inside of the building. A lot of potential.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
And they're commissioning local artists to do murals on their wall. If you haven't been watching on social media, that place is going to look real cool. And all the art is by local people, which is super. Because once again, we've been saying for a while now, between us and then interviews that already people hired, we have so many talented fucking people in our area when it comes to artists, musicians, people who make fucking beer, podcasts, high five, and everything else.
The easiest one.
There's a few other local I'm gonna be honest. So that we're talking about the merger, and that's the overall thing of this is
They're
coming
like,
together.
blah, blah, blah,
I brought it
blah,
back
right
together.
now.
I brought it back. I'm trying to bring it back, but I'm also very high. I'm cross-faded.
There you go, buddy. I'm happy that I was here for the first time.
There's so many. Oh, this has been happening on podcasts for a while, just not to this extent.
Okay, good. I'm happy this is the first time you used the word. Let's say that.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm saying the network. There's a few other local podcasts that I'm like very, very proud of, and I think they're doing very well. But I also, I'm happy they're making their own way.
Right.
But the network isn't for me to be like, hey, I'm the network. I want to make a profit out of this. It's just kind of like, I feel like I've trailblazed and made a spot where people know maybe that the IwEP network is our local podcast family.
Right.
And if everyone kind of joins together on it, we can show that this area, like, so when you say what's a school county podcast, and you go to the IwEP network, bang, here's your gateway. Go take all these people.
And it's like, it's not like if you don't want it, like you and I have been podcasting together for years, literally years before, or probably not years, but at least a year of without me ever being like, hey, can I come on this thing?
Yeah.
You know, so it's
when you reached me, I was like, fucking thank God. I wanted you on here so bad. But
really?
Yeah, because I also
why did you ask?
Because I thought like if I feel like I was like trying to control your content.
Oh.
And I think when people think when they join the network that I'm going to have but I'm saying like if people like I'm going to join your network, I think the first question is how much
control do you
what do I have? Because I think we're in an area where if you're a musician or you're a wrestler, like how much do I have to pay you to do my craft?
Right.
And that's not what I do here.
Right.
Essentially what I'm doing is giving you admin access to the IwEP network so you can invite more people to it and then also put your content on it or go live on it. Because now when you go live on any platform, you have the login because it's attached to you as Facebook to go live on that platform.
Okay. There you go. Look, I'm learning new things along with you, everybody.
And then I ask you to send me your latest episode and then I upload it to our IwEP network feed, which is our audio only feed. Right. I don't even put your stuff on our YouTube because if you have your own YouTube, I want you to build that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, see, again, you're just being that platform and that terminal like that you were saying. And yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And at no point in time was I ever like, oh, Anthony's going to try to control this. And another beautiful thing is like, I know you're the type of person that I'm like, hey, man, this just isn't working out. Like, then I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
then like really, it's just different.
There's really no risk or reward to coming on the network because you're still doing your thing anyway.
But
if we get 9 people, if we get 9 people who all have created a network of people on own and we kind of merge those networks together, the way I bring you on my network is because I feel that you fit the requirements of who I am as a person. Right. Remember, I said I'm in a room with 15 people and I find the good of all 15. Everybody wants that, but some people aren't at that level enough to be at that. Like some people have to break down more barriers of ignorance or closed-mindedness to get to a level where I feel comfortable that I can make that connection that we have made.
Right.
Once again, your Lord here.
So it's you I pray to.
Yes.
I have a lot of questions.
Dude, you fucking don't shut up. There's too many.
You don't shut up.
That's true. Hey, I want to do this.
A prayer was a joke.
I want to do this. I want to bring a little bit of stone and nerdy to the IwEP.
Yes, please do.
We're smoking. So we're drinking beers and we're talking about it and we're reviewing them, but we're not talking about the marijuana that we're smoking. And I think again, breaking down this stigma of like, if we wanted to kind of just talk about marijuana as a recreational thing, and obviously we use it for medical reasons as well, but there are places in the world in which Pennsylvania would come on where it becomes recreational. And so it's like, how do we enjoy this thing? Yeah, we absolutely are. How do we enjoy this similar to a just anything else that you would review?
Well, there's tons of podcasts out there that are like, we're wrestling and beer, or this and beer, because
but there's such a taboo still around marijuana, and it's just like, well, it shouldn't be because everyone you know smokes weed.
Yes,
and like every
I think what I'm trying to say though, I'm sorry to cut you off, is that
cut you off.
Sorry, is that people listen to a podcast where it says this and beer, where they expect them to be in the mind state of beer, but also tell their thing where maybe they may be a little looser or they say something a little wacky or crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Where I think if you're saying stoned and nerdy, they're going to be in a different mind state where maybe they're more open-mindedness. Cause we talked about before that when you're alcohol, you can get angry, you can get drunk.
You're very tunnel vision with alcohol.
Yes, we're in the when you're saying stoned and talking pop culture and nerdy, and we start talking about movies, and we're like, bro, and then a little truth behind illusion comes in, where you're like, well, what if this is a real thing they're trying to because the idea of stoned is you're opening your mind to different avenues or conversations based on what you're doing.
And it reflects what I'm really trying to do is like, I just want the most authentic version of myself, and the most authentic, and this is the reason that I call myself Churches and Trains, and my music is I have this like deep religious side of me, but also have this train side of me that's just dirty, kind of just rural with like, I'm a Schuylkill County boy, you know, like
you're a workhorse. You're gonna be dirty coal miner boy.
I'm a maintenance man, you know, like that's what I do for a living. And then I'm going home at night and I'm talking about the soul and like your feelings, but I love it. I love the diversity because I'm like, too long for men have they been told that this area of spirituality or feelings or whatever isn't for them, and that they're just into this thing.
Dude, you are the fucking stereotype where it's like, what if that janitor is smart? Because the whole idea of people seeing a janitor is that they're not in the right mind state, or they didn't achieve greatness. So therefore they clean and fix things for people. But beyond closed doors, you're as simple as it comes, where you strip away all that things that you think you need in society, but you don't. Right. But you're so mentally intellectual, but you're a janitor.
Dude, so thank you for that. You gave me a huge blessing, because when I was growing up, my favorite television show was Scrubs. And one of my favorite, have you ever seen that?
No.
So it's a show about,
and it's a comedy show.
It's a comedy show about
a comedy
hospital.
ER.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the biggest provocateur is the antagonist, quote unquote, to some degree. The jester character is the janitor figure. And I remember being young and being like, that's a great gig, like, because you're at a place that's doing something important, but you're doing the things that no one cares about or doesn't think about, and like are kind of like, I don't want to say easy. They're easy if you're just willing to clean up shit. And I'm willing to clean up shit because then I'm like, well, at least I don't have to fucking file paperwork, you know, like, because my hands have shit on them. So no one's going to be like, touch our paperwork.
So here's the thing. I'm such because you were saying like, dude, you should come look where I'm at and do what I do with me. And I immediately told you, I can't clean shit. But I hate doing fucking paperwork.
Right. Well, somebody said this to me one time, man, and this is kind of similar to that. Is just like, everyone wants to be the guy who's everybody. Everyone wants to be the big person, but no one wants to do the thing. And like, again, my whole spiel is about bringing the glory down into the small things. And I'm like, if I can't like be like a guy that's like, I love Jesus, I love God.
Dude, I have such a fucking reference right now. Such a fucking.
What are you doing over here?
He's getting excited. What's the reference?
I'm gonna cut you off. So like,
really, you're gonna cut me off?
Yeah.
Surprise.
Shocker. If you've been listening for an hour, 42 minutes, you know we've been doing to each other. No, we've been doing to each other. We're very aggressive talkers. We've talked.
We are very aggressive. We talk at each other.
Yes.
This whole time.
This
is what I'm doing.
Yeah. I love you so much. So this is why I think we should do exactly what we're doing right now, but add Tori to the mix.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like we all have the same thing, but we all have a way different way of getting there.
Tori would just take me up a level that I'm not ready to go to.
I love her to death, but she's such a challenge.
Well, see, challenge is the wrong word. It's just like hard.
No, challenge, because I seek it. I seek a challenge, and we're because I know
the hero story.
Once again, looking at two people and stripping them down and stripping myself down, and knowing we all want the same thing in the middle. We have so many different mindsets and ways to get to that spot. I love it.
I would love to be, because I feel like I actually swing on a pendulum between you and Tori.
So do I.
Yeah, because I'm like, I have this very like inquisitive, like cynical aspect of just being like, well, I don't know, and I like starting there. That's my.
You know who's a fourth person to add to that too?
Who?
Alex Watt.
We need to have a conversation because we never had one outside of
Alex, personality wise. So like for you, I like to talk to you because I feel like you open me up more mentally, and I feel and also. On the same thing, how you're talking about like Jay,
I'm a janitor.
Where Jay is the guy who you want to strive to because he's quiet. I also want to be that person.
You want to be quiet?
Yes.
In our heart, I think people like me, because we know how annoying we are. We know how like we're like, there's just so much happening inside. I just have to be like,
but I can't sit in a room of quietness.
I need 4 podcasts to tell you how I feel inside.
But if I sit in a room and everyone's quiet, I feel like everyone's looking at me to be the one who's the entertainer.
I've always felt that my entire life,
and I hate doing it.
Me too.
But I feel like it needs to be done.
Me too. Since I was a little kid, my mom's like, "You're the entertainer." You know that song, "The Entertainer"? She's like, "That's always been your song." And I've always wanted to be. I said this to Abby Weaver one time. I'm like, I'm a reluctant leader because I'm like, I'll see that I'm like, oh, these people, and I'll do it. And it's the same in high school. And it's just like, I don't want to be the guy who's going to lead this lab right now.
Yeah, because then everyone fucking hates you for being the leader. And
yeah, because then you're the guy that's like, can you do this? And it's like, well, why do I got to do this? Because no one else was going to tell you to do it.
Because in my leader brain, you're the best one to fucking do it. I'm relying on you. Take it as a compliment.
Yeah, and it's but it's so hard as a kid to be able to say that.
Yes.
Like, because you literally don't have the words or potentially even the.
And then the guy looks at you and goes, well, if I'm so good at doing this fucking job, why can't I be the leader? Because if you were the leader, you would have fucking stepped up before I did.
Right. And like, well, maybe you would have, but it would have been aggressive. Oh my goodness.
I've been hiding this hair tie from her for a month.
Why? I don't have my hair tie.
Because this hair tie is unbelievable.
Stole it.
You guys know that you can buy other hair ties.
We have
He just keeps losing them all.
No, can I tell you one of the greatest things about Jay?
She bought a pack of these.
Jay, I hope you're listening.
He doesn't need hair ties.
When I was on, when I worked at Press and I had my super long hair, I constantly needed hair ties. Jay ordered me, and he was my manager at the time. He ordered me like, 500 or 100 pack or something like that, and just kept it down there. So I just love Jay because that's the kind of like, I love it because it's like, here's the solution, idiot.
Bit,
like, it's just like, just do this and you'll be fine. And I'm over here. It's like, what is the meaning of life? And he's like, why don't you just put your hair up and just do your job? And I'm like, that's so much. That's a better answer.
Can we have you and him?
I would love to have
room.
No, because we'll just talk the whole time. It needs to be you and Jay one-on-one.
But that's
where you get special.
We focus on all of our attention on making him talk.
We won't.
No, you guys are going to talk and then he's not going to get
a
word in.
It's so beautiful of you that you think that, because Jay will sit there and he'll be like, yeah, you'll talk. And then you'll go back in the edit and you'll look at the channels and there'll be 3 little bleeps where Jay talks. And 3 of them are going to be where you and I laughed really loud. And it came up as audio.
All right, so remember back when I initially interrupted you? I'm going to go back to that.
Sure.
So
like 17 times ago.
Yeah. So
he's really bad at that.
In a job,
I
right,
do.
The everyday worker, the people who get the job actually done.
Mm-hmm.
They all go to the who they think is they're above, which is normally the janitor, and they have those deep, meaningful conversations. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, that janitor has had that conversation with
everyone,
80 fucking people, because they're not on the same functions as everyone else, so they can have that leeway to have those conversations.
Right.
And if that janitor actually ever learned it one day, they can start the revolution to be like, hey, like that janitor can literally lead an army. Because they have made social and mental connections with everyone at the job, and the boss.
Because everyone needs a clean floor.
Yes, and everyone at the boss of the job who tells everyone to get the job done, technically is the leader, but doesn't have the mental connections to be that leader. He can't have the same connection that the janitor does.
He can't, because it's a hierarchical thing. You'll see just instinctively by nature will see that person as somebody that like you answer to. It'll be
I want to be the mentor.
I don't think they want it the same way. Like,
I'm not having my back to you. I just go towards the camera.
I feel like the janitor person is like trying to connect with people, where the boss is not. They're just trying to boss people.
I want to be the leader, but I also want to have the mental connection of the janitor.
Same.
But I always fall in the category of the worker, and I fucking get bored too quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. And I think it's our weird cross to bear. And I think it's just because of this time that people like you and I, we don't have a role in society outside of these things that we're doing now. Because our whole thing is relaying just internal thoughts.
Yeah. Because the leaders look at me and say, you're a fucking good leader, but you're too fucking close to the people you work with.
Yeah.
So I can never be the leader because I'm too much, but I'm not willing to clean the shit off the floor like the janitor.
I'll clean the shit off the floor, and I'll do. There you go. My spectrum's a little wider.
But I'm saying but you could be the janitor who can surpass everyone to be the leader.
Mm.
Yeah, but again, it's just like I don't want it, because I'm just like I believe so, and here you're gonna agree with this. I believe so much in the individual that I'm like, I shouldn't be leading you. You're so capable to do everything on your own. I can show you, but guess who's going to do it better? And guess who's going to do it best for you is going to be you. Mm-hmm. So and that's the same thing.
What would make you a good leader, though?
But a lot of my leadership qualities are trying to get people to get to the same level as me.
Well, see, but then I think that'll ultimately come back to bite you in the ass.
And it always does.
Yep. Because now you're going to leave and you're going to have to do something better for somebody. You know who doesn't have to do things better for people sometimes? Me, because I'm like, I am not a good person. And I'll openly admit that. And I think that I
admit that as well.
But then you're also saying that like there are people that I'm not saying I want to get anybody to any sort of level. I want to be like, wherever you're at, I just want the best for people. That's my fundamental thing. It's just like, you can be as egoistic or whatever. I hope you're not hurting yourself, and hope you're not hurting the people around you. Yeah. Chances are that if you're being egotistical, you probably will be hurting yourself and probably will be hurting the people around you. So what is
doing?
That?
I'm hurting myself.
Well, I gotta go because it's almost 6, but I will come back on. Maybe actually, why don't we do this just sometime? Maybe you can, I don't know. We'll just do it on.
Dude, I would literally, if you're free any night, I'm always here. I never sleep.
Let's talk about alcohol, because I really want to talk about, because this will be the teaser, is the word for alcohol comes for a ghoul, or just that's what that means. And the word for ghoul comes from abdomen, like it's similar to abdomen. A demon, which comes from abdomen. So where do you put alcohol? In your stomach. And so it's spirits. There's something there, man.
You're making me want to drink more.
Well, yeah, and it's I'll say it's black magic, but it's fun black magic. I mean, Jesus turned things. Yeah. So, but then if you take it too far, it's a terrible thing. It's a nightmare. It's a hell.
If you cross that barrier.
Yeah, it's a hell. So like, again, it's like anything, it's moderation and knowing that it's a tool. And I think that's understandable.
Well, let's wrap.
Okay.
All right. Love
this
you guys
is my name.
So much.
My name is Tim. I like to go home and eat Slim Jims. No, I don't, because I'm a vegetarian.
But you do like Slim Jims.
I'm a vegetarian. I do like Slim Jims, but I'm a vegetarian.
Yes. He has chosen not to eat the Slim Jims.
Because I like animals not dying in pain more than I'm like, this is so good. If I could masturbate at the same time. This would be heaven. And a cute, no, my ears are terrible.
Do you ever put a Q-tip in your ear? It feels so fucking good.
I'm gonna maybe try that when I go home.
If I could eat a Slim Jim, Q-tip, and jerk off, fucking forget it. That is nirvana.
This is why God gave us 2 hands.
Only 2.
If you had a third,
if you could do 3 pleasurable things,
you would always pick your groin.
No one would get anything done ever.
If God gave you a third hand, every human being would be like, I'm touching myself
constantly,
women and men.
It's fine.
And everything in between.
So check out my podcast.
Anyway, yes. I'm sorry if I misgendered you or didn't say. I'm learning too. We're figuring the world out together. I love you all. I hope you all's happy and success. But welcome, Stoned and Nerdy. Welcome, Higher Than Other Words, to the network. That'll all be taking place as soon as Tim sends me stuff.
We literally had this conversation last night at 10 o'clock.
We did.
So
that's how quick this came.
Yeah. I mean, but it was a long time coming. But this is how you and I work. We're like, listen, this is our connection now going forth. It's like, okay.
We're going to kiss now. But
I'm not getting you crossfaded anymore. We're going to be like, you and Heidi are going to be like, we really appreciate your vibe. I ended on a meme. Oh, but now it's got awkward. Why'd it get awkward? Do you guys not know that meme?
No.
Oh, it's like a meme of like a couple like coming up to someone being like, "Hey, we were seeing you across the bar. We really like your vibe." Implying like that you're like, "Hey, why don't you come check out our bedroom? And show us your penis."
We should podcast. We should podcast about it.
Has you put? I need to go, but has you put forward a like a sexy time podcast idea yet?
No, I want to do more with her. Like, I want to have more conversations with her.
Because I want Jamie on the podcast, but she won't come on.
Because I feel like if people seen our banter, they'd be so confused, but very interested by it. And one of the biggest podcasts in the world was literally a guy and a girl who just like argued with each other for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because people love that. People wish they could have it. It's reminiscent of your house life.
I'm trying to get her more on interviews with everyday people. So when I have a guest, she's the counter to my like, shut the fuck up and let this guy talk.
Yeah, I mean that's a good yin yang balancing male female.
And I'm trying like so my dream for interviews as we go forward is I want to bring Nikolai on more. Because he started with me and he was kind of the yin to my yang, but he wasn't as aggressive and confident to tell me to shut the fuck up. But I think he is now. That he'd be like, dude, shut the fuck up and let them talk. And I wouldn't even take offense by it because I need someone to do that. Yeah. And then she would be that person as well. So interviews may turn to a point where I have 3 people at the table.
That would be great. Why
Possibly
not?
4. I might have both of them telling me to shut the fuck up. So I may need it.
And the guest.
Yes. So, and the guest. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. We want to welcome his show. It's not linked yet or anything like that. It's still fucking fresh, but go search Stone and Nerdy on Anchor, because I don't think it's on everything yet.
Yeah. There's one episode up that's really raw. Cause again, I had the idea to do this live stream half an hour before I did it.
Yes.
And I did it. I had 3 viewers. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to just make a thing out of this.
That's really cool. At your first time ever, you had 3 viewers.
One of them was my boss who I work at. He just watched me do a bong rip on Twitch, but apparently you're not supposed to do.
Whoops.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
You can't smoke drugs on
Can't smoke drugs.
Because we totally did that earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we vaped.
Yeah, we just vaping.
We're just vaping.
I gotta go, everybody. But I'll
love you.
I will be live tonight at 8 o'clock on the Stone and Nerdy 89 Twitch channel. Maybe I'll just tweet that out, and then you can just share that for me, or I'll put it in the.
You're an admin. You can share it.
Right. Okay.
And you can check out our links below. Support us. Buy T-shirts. I'm trying to buy a new camera to help professional wrestlers to help me out.
What are you gonna do with your old camera?
I just need a third. Because you need 2 people to go around the ring and film the action, while one camera films the hard shot, the hard cam. So
your porn's gonna be really good,
dude. We're gonna have multi-cam porn. I'm trying to get skinny so I look better naked on camera.
All right, let's end on that.
See you guys later. Here's some Steve Full. See you next time.
Sorry for being sorry all of the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. So sick and tired of sorries all the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. On the couch, never drinking again. Apologies to everyone I've seen. Overwhelmed with anxiety.